Obviously they didn't want the hospital to know that their son had just assaulted me for a year. So for 1 year of my life, I lived in someone's room in Watford. That was it. No one saw me. I was just in the room like it's this, it's the dustbin, it's garbage. It's, you know, similar to you. Garbage bin, dustbin, trash, fucking trash. That's not what you think when someone pranks you. You don't think, oh, must be smoking crack again. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Just listen, this thing is on the verge of like breaking. So, hi guys. So good to have you back. It's so good to be back. Where have I even been? I've not been anywhere. I've been here. I've been here. In your screen, waiting for you. I've been waiting, anticipating. Hi, hello. If you're new here, I'm Sara Asiya. And if you're not new here, loyalty equals love. Thank you for coming back. Today's another story time because I've got no other talents. I've tried to do beauty, doesn't work, no one cares. You don't know what you're doing, Sara. Put the beauty blender down. Put it down. You're not helping anyone. Yeah, so welcome back to my channel. Today is another story time and this one's actually quite depressing as well. What I've noticed is A, all my stories seem to be about ex-boyfriends, and B, they're all quite depressing, so I'm really sorry. If you want to neg out, you know where to come. Or if you want to feel better about your life, you know where to come, because it's all going downhill over here. So this video is about shock, another ex. This was actually the first boyfriend that I ever had, and I was really young at the time, and it was my first love, and I was like, I'm gonna give up my life for you. This is what life is, being with you. I love you. He was probably the biggest asshole I've ever dated, like ever. And I've dated some fucking assholes, trust me. So, where do I even start with this story? It's just like, yeah, so my ex put me in hospital. Basically, long story short, he was a lot older than me at the time. At the time, he still is because, anyway, he was a lot older than me. And I was quite young. I was like 16 years old. I was probably about 15, which technically would have made him a paedophile, but let's just not go into that. I'm gonna call him James because that's what I do in every video. So I was about 16 years old. It was like my first ever boyfriend, like really into him. And he was a lot older than me, and so my family were not happy. And so what I decided to do, I was like, family, boy. I'll go with the boy. And I didn't want to listen to what my mum had to say about him, so I left my house. I left home at like 16. The worst thing I've ever done in my life. And I went and moved into this guy's house, and it was all just awful because he was a drug dealer, he sold drugs, he took drugs. And I'm not just talking like, he used to smoke some weed. The guy was on crack. He was on crack cocaine. Crack, yeah? Not cigarettes, not weed, not even coke. Crack cocaine. And I didn't know this until I was like really obsessed with him, and the only reason I found out is because he started doing some weird shit. Like at like 2-3 in the morning every single night for ages, I'd get phone calls off his mobile, and like dead silence. I could like hear breathing, and I was like, hello, 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 hello. And like I'd ring back and he'd pick up and no one would say anything. And I was like, I phoned him like the next day and I was like, I'm not being funny, babe, but I think your parents are pranking me. Like, I'm pretty sure your mum's ringing me at 3 in the morning and breathing down the phone. And he was like, yeah, why would she do that? So weird. I was like, yeah, so weird. Little did I fucking know, it's because he was smoking crack and he was paranoid. So he was in his room making random calls and then like this down the phone. I had no idea. That's not what you think when someone pranks you. You don't think, oh, must be smoking crack again. Bro, the fuck? Why? Like, his mum told me that once she found him running around the woods because he was so paranoid on crack. And I remember being in his room once and he was on crack, and then he kept looking at the dustbin outside and he was like, it's police, it's fucking police. I was like, it's this, it's the dustbin, it's garbage, it's, you know, similar to you, garbage bin, dustbin, trash, fucking trash. It's not a policeman. What policeman? Like, it was a really weird relationship. And I was so young at the time. I don't know what I was doing. What were you doing? I don't know, but I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of family. Like, he wouldn't really let me go anywhere. It's all a bit weird. But so what happened was, one night we were at his house. He lived with his parents as well. And his parents, for the first like year of the relationship, knew I was there, but at the same time no one was acknowledging that I was there, and I wasn't allowed to like walk around the house freely like I was there. So really I like hid in his bedroom for a year. So for 1 year of my life I lived in someone's room in Watford. That was it. No one saw me. I was just in the room. Like, even when I wanted to take a shit I had to like scurry across the hallway in the toilet like, can anyone hear me? Like, oh, honestly, it was the worst. Anyway, we were in his room one night, and I came round after he had a little session of crack binging in his room. I still can't get over it. What was I doing? I thought I could change him and I could help him. I couldn't. I didn't. He smoked crack, a lot of crack. A lot. Didn't care about what I thought. He was having a whale of a time. But I thought it was like something that I could stop, so I sort of stayed with him. Was like, we'll get through this, babe, don't worry. We didn't get through it. Okay? So, in his room, and we'd had an argument, but like the argument had died down, and like we hadn't said anything to each other for like a good like 3-4 minutes. Like, no words, no one was saying anything. Just watching the TV. Poor little Sara is just in the room like a kidnap victim, watching the TV. And out of nowhere, he just gets up and backhands me in the face. Just went in my face. Now, you'd think like a slap backhand doesn't hurt that much. It really does, yeah. Especially from a man, especially for a strong man. It hurts. Yeah, so my jaw just went click. I was like, oh. And then within the space of like 30 seconds to a minute, my face, I'm not joking, I wish I had a picture. Camera phones were not a big thing back then. My face was like this. Like, you think I've got a round potato face now? Nothing can compare to that. My face and my neck like swelled to here, and no one wanted to do anything. He was like, it's fine, it's just where you've swollen, you'll be fine. And like, the more I kept looking in the mirror, the more I'm panicking. And his parents and stuff didn't want to take me to the hospital because obviously they didn't want the hospital to know that their son had just assaulted me. So no one was doing anything. And then it got to like 3 or 4 hours later, and I don't know if this happened because I was having a panic attack. I feel like that's what's happening. I was having an anxiety attack. But I was like, I can't breathe. Like, I'm really struggling to breathe. And the more like I've gone to breathe and stuff, like it's like I couldn't get my breath in. And I think it's because I was panicking and I was having a panic attack just from the state of my face. It looked so bad. I was like, something has got to be broken. Like, what have you done to me? So we got to the hospital and they did an x-ray and stuff, and they were like, you have broken your jaw. Your jaw's snapped in half. So we need to operate. We're going to have to operate. They operated on this side of my face. And we're going to have to put a metal plate in your jaw to keep it together because like your face will fall off otherwise. So I was like, oh, okay, great. So I'm like 16 years old, really scared, The whole time I'm thinking, all I want is my mum or somebody. I've got nobody here, I've got no friends. No one knows I'm here except for him and his horrible family that don't give two fucks about me. And then, yeah, I had to go into, like, an hour later, they carted me in, put me under anaesthetic and operated on me. It was quite a quick operation. I think it was only like a couple of hours. But I'd woken up, I'd come back around, and obviously, like, I'm expecting him to be there. Like, you just snapped my jaw in half. I've spent longer queuing in A&E. Like, it's not that long for you to wait for me to come out of this. I woke up and I was completely by myself. Like, obviously, I didn't have anyone else to be there but him. But he wasn't there. He didn't wait for me. He didn't wait for the operation to happen. Just left. Went home and did more drugs. So yeah, I woke up alone. I remember I had to get one of my friends who I hadn't spoken to in years. I was like, I'm in hospital, I've got no money, like, I can't phone anyone. Can you put some credit on my phone, please? So he ended up getting a top up £10 voucher for my phone and giving it to me. And then I had to phone, like, yeah, so I'm out of the operation, like, yeah. And I went through probably a couple more years of abuse. And then he finally went to prison because he got caught for selling drugs. And I was unleashed. I was out of that toxic relationship. Like, I stayed with him so he got sentenced to 5 years. And I was with him for like a good year that he was there. Like, I would visit him all the time, and just got really hard. And because I'd been so, like, physical abuse is one thing, but mental abuse is just a different story. Like, I was so mentally exhausted and broken, and like, I wasn't really sure what life was, because I was just like going to college and coming back and sitting in his room. Like, I didn't really have a life, I didn't really have any friends. And once he went to prison, I ended up going back home. I went and stayed with my sister. She started showing me to West End London and going out clubbing and all this stuff. So I was like, oh my God, this is so fun. And yeah, so I came out of that like mental hold that he had on me. And I was like, oh, this is what life is. This is actually quite cool. And then shortly after, it's probably about a year after, like, when I was like, okay, this is not what I want, I don't want to be with him anymore. Like, a lot of it was fear. I didn't want to leave him because I was scared. This is probably a story time for another time, but he petrol bombed my sister's car. Not once, not twice, 3 times. We had a van follow us home once at like 3 in the morning. This goes deep. Like, he wasn't a good guy, so I was very reluctant to leave him. I was very scared, and like, I was like, I don't want to make him angry. So I ended up staying for a lot longer than I should have. I then ended up meeting my ex, William, and I remember being on a night out with Will. Like, nothing had happened between us, but in my head I was like, I really, really like this boy. And I remember James ringing me from prison, and I was like running down the road, like trying to speak on the phone without Will being around. And yeah, after like hanging around with Will loads, I was like, oh, I really like this guy. I ended up leaving my ex, built some strength, and then I started seeing William. And then obviously he passed away not long afterwards, but yeah, so it was like a real like whirlwind of like a few years for me. Like, it was all a bit crazy. Wasn't the first time he was abusive either. He threw me into a mirror once, and that hurt like a bitch, because the mirror smashed and I fell into the mirror and I was just cut everywhere, like everywhere. So yeah, it wasn't the first time, but without a doubt, I think like the mental abuse was much, much worse. Like, he had such a hold on me to the point where you're like, you don't feel like you have a life without them. And I remember being younger, and my friend's mum always used to say to us, she was like, don't ever give 100% of yourself to somebody. She's like, you always need to keep 10% for yourself, because what happens when you make someone your world? If they were to ever leave, then your entire world collapses. And I've always known that as a lesson. I've probably never put it into practice, even with my ex Paul. Like, he was my world, so obviously when we split up, sorry, I'm not crying. Sorry, I'm still very much getting over that relationship. So we split up just near Valentine's Day. Sorry. Yeah, so we split up Valentine's Day, and I'm like not over that yet. So we split up just before Valentine's Day, and as you can tell, I'm still like, just still feel quite emotional from it because it's all quite fresh. So still not over that. But yeah, so I've probably not had the best of relationships. Like, I've been cheated on God knows how many times. I've been mentally and physically like battered so bad. Yeah, so that I'm so glad to be like a million miles away from that. But yeah, my God, the mental abuse that you get from things like this is so much harder. Like, that's what keeps you there. That's what is hard to unravel yourself from. And it annoys me that he was so much older than me and he knew exactly what he was doing. And I was a really young and vulnerable girl at the time. I just find it disgusting that guys like prey on girls like that. I don't see, for whatever reason, a guy that age. So when I was like 16, he was probably in his like late 20s, like really late 20s. But I don't see what a man in his late 20s has to do with a girl that was my age at the time. Like, what kind of mature conversation can you have with that person? Or like, don't I just find it weird? Like, why would you want to date someone so much younger than you? They don't know anything about the world. And at that age, at 16, you think you know everything, but you don't. You know nothing. You're stupid, obviously, Sara, because you got into that sticky situation. But yeah, it was awful, awful, awful. Yeah, so that's the story about how my ex broke my jaw. And wasn't, yeah, so I'm sorry if that was like another depressing story time, but I just had to get that one out there because it was like such a weird period of my life, like really weird. Also, I'm debuting, if you notice my new lips. So I had all my filler taken out and I look like a normal person again. And I've not seen my lips look like this for so long. I have vlogged all of that, so if you go into my playlist, into my vlogs, you'll be able to see. I think if you look at my previous videos and how massive my lips were, you'll be able to see a big difference. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook. I'll put all my social handles below. Come and say hi. Please comment. I love reading your comments and I always try to reply. I think you find I'm pretty good at that. Probably because not that many people comment on my videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Love you, and I will see you on the next video.